Happy Friday evening to you all. Gino Bacola here alongside Frank Scatoni. Sure shot. Hope you're having a nice start to your weekend as we get you ready for a nice Saturday of racing over at Santa Anita. We actually completed a pick six sequence earlier today, Frank, that had a carryover. And if any of the folks tuned in yesterday, they may have been led to a few winners. It wasn't a big price after big price after big price, but all you need sometimes is like one or two prices here and there in a pretty formful pick six. It still paid just under 10,000. And I think our buddy George O took that thing down too. So hopefully some of the folks out there have some extra money now in the bankroll for a big Saturday at Santa Anita.
First of all, I feel like this is like the third or fourth time that it's just been me and you. We need like a tag team name, like we're the formulators or something.
You're
like,
right. I like that. Yeah. We joked about that we own an Italian restaurant together, chicken parm half off tonight. If you get free breadsticks along with that as well. But anyways, Frank, we had some fun last night and we're going to try to do it all over again tonight.
Yeah. Look, I thought yesterday's show was phenomenal, and hats off to Georgie. He ended up playing what he talked about and hitting it for, like you said, about 9,000. I thought it paid really well considering how it unfolded. There were a couple of prices in there, but really short fields. So hats off to our man, Georgie. He will be having surf and turf on a plate tonight, because where else would you put lobster and steak but on a plate?
Fish on a plate, baby. Inside joke there from our show last night. A big hello to some of the folks that are watching us over on the America's Best Racing channels and on the Santa Anita social media channels. If you want to follow along with us, you can get your daily racing form past performances out, and we're going to go through the late pick 5 sequence for Saturday, May the 9th. That sequence starts in race number 5, so we can begin things there with the Calbred fillies and mares, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds going 6 furlongs on the turf. And we'll go race by race by race. Remember, if you're ever curious what's happening at Santa Anita, are there any carryovers? What are the pools looking like? You can just go to santanita.com. You can click on the event section and see everything happening. And maybe this weekend, if you're still trying to figure out what to do with mom for Mother's Day, have her come out to Santa Anita on Sunday. Like some tracks, I would tell you, Frank, I don't know if you necessarily want to bring mom out to that track for Mother's Day. Santa Anita is about as beautiful of a place that you could bring mom. Incredible weather coming up this weekend. Have a nice little brunch there with mom, and then maybe go out to dinner somewhere after. That could be a nice little Sunday.
It is absolutely the best place you could spend. I have a good friend many, many years ago, just completely out of the blue, had never been to Santa Anita. It was his mom's favorite track. And he just randomly reached out to Tom Quigley on X and said, "Hey, I'm coming out to Santa Anita. Can you any recommendations?" He brought his mom out, Quigley, VIP service in the Logan room. His mom had the best time of her life. And after that experience, a group of us whose moms are no longer with us started a traditional Mother's Day toast after the races, where we all had our mom's favorite drink. We saluted all the mothers, and we celebrated at I call it God's racetrack. I mean, Santa Anita it's just monumentally epic in the setting of it. So yes, happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Well, we have a lot of ground to cover with the late pick 5 for Saturday, so we're going to get on started right into race number 5, May the 9th. This one is a 6 furlong turf sprint, and we have some comments coming in too, so we'd always love to hear from you. Frank, in this race, we have a couple horses that were actually entered on the, I think towards the outside of one of the fields on Friday. They all show up in this one. Baby Needs New Shoes is 5-2 on the morning line. Midnight Cowgirl, 3-2 on the morning line. The 4 Midnight Cowgirl is dropping in class, but both Baby Needs Shoes and Midnight Cowgirl have shown a little speed. You are getting the cutback from the 1 Baby Needs Shoes in here. Those two feel like they're going to take a lot of money in this race. Do you prefer one of the two short prices? Are you looking elsewhere? How do you want to set things up in the first leg of this pick 5 sequence?
Well, first of all, you mentioned Baby Needs New Shoes was on the AE list yesterday, and the jockey was Ricky Gonzalez. And Ricky and Jess have a new baby, and I just thought that would be the greatest thing if a new father won with Baby Needs Shoes. But I think the race goes through both of them. I have nothing super clever. maybe needs shoes, route speed, cutting back. I'm a little surprised. I'm looking at the racing form that Peter Miller in turf sprints is only 10%, but I recall that at Del Mar, he wins every turf sprint under the sun. So
right.
I'm not too fussed about that. So here's the thing, and Peter Miller does this a lot. This race is for maidens 3 years old and up, but there are no older horses in the field. Last time this horse faced older horses as a 3-year-old, ran third to a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. So that is a significant race, conditioning race. So anyway, that horse, Midnight Cowgirl, sitting on a peak effort, third off the bench, cuts back. I mean, super, super obvious. I just want to mention one horse, and it's probably going to sound silly, but number 2, Anti-Slap. I won't bore anybody with the backstory, but that horse was specifically named because of a lawsuit. And the owner's prominent on X, and he named that horse for a reason. I think that horse could be live first out just to kind of make a statement. So 20 to 1 on the line. We'll see if the horse gets bet. But you could go with the 1 and the 4.
Dam won a couple times on the turf for that first time starter, the 2. For me, looking at the overall field, like the 1 and the 4 are logical. I thought the 3, Humidity, could be interesting in here too. It's not like I'm giving you a massive price, but in that most recent start, going a mile, was inside, didn't have a ton of room, was waiting, and by the time she was asked, the pace setter had already slipped away there. 2 starts back was behind a horse who came right back to win their next start with a 76 Beyer speed figure. You're getting a drop in class and a cutback for a horse who I think has run in spots. Also, Hector Barrios is jumping back aboard. And if we get Midnight Cowgirl showing speed, if we get, maybe Baby D Shoots trying to show some speed even on the cutback, I could see Humidity just sitting a really nice trip in here too. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't really find anything too crazy or outside the box in here, Frank. Pretty logical. You did mention a first-time starter that's a big price that could maybe spice things up a little bit. The 5 is another firster who's Dam won on the turf. There is a work on April the 20th on First TV that you can check. That was okay. So yeah, I wish I had a little more on some of the bigger prices in here, but I really couldn't. I thought this was probably going to be pretty logical.
Yeah, I feel like I don't need to be a hero in this race. I'll probably bet Anti-Slap some win money if the horse looks good and is taking some sneaky action. But I think we get out with the 1 and the 4, and if we don't, we come back and play the low takeout wagers, the late pick 3 and the late double.
We got pick 4, pick 3, and then the double coming right in a row. Shout out to Dean. Hollywood Park used to always have that big Mother's Day event. When you think about this time of the year now, this is when the racing usually was at Hollywood Park from now, until it was around Del Mar time. So, and then always Texas Terry saying hello. And I know Texas Terry and Frank were laughing about the fish on the plate last night. So Frank, let's turn the page from race 5 to race 6. Keep in mind that 5th race is also part of the coast to coast pick 5 for Saturday. Don't forget about those wagers. And all turf. So those coast to coast pick 5 and the Sunset 6 wagers that still roll on with that 15% low takeout, dollar minimum, 100% carryover to the next day if nobody hits it, and they're retail only. So you're not going to get the big CAW players with those late hits. They're not allowed in those pools playing the coast to coast and the Sunset 6.
Yeah,
Frank,
Santa Anita does the best job protecting the retail player by creating bets like this. And I know quite a few friends of mine who love the coast to coast, absolutely love it, and do very well in it. So just to your point, pay attention to that.
So we can turn the page to race number 6 at Santa Anita. This one kicks off the late pick 4 sequence. We have fillies and mares, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. These are Calbreds going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Now, it doesn't always work this way, Frank, but generally, I always feel like strong names for horses are usually saved for the horses that you think are good or that have shown some ability, right? And so that leads me to take a look at the 2 Florence Joyner. Flojo, one of the fastest females ever. Incredible athlete, a 3-time gold medal winner, I believe. So right off the bat, the name sort of like, oh, okay. you probably have Flojo reserved for a fast horse, right? And
Speed,
then
yes.
you start to
Sprinter.
look into this particular 3-year-old filly. She's a first-time starter. She's a daughter of a horse named Sunday Rules. That horse won her first 5 starts. She was grade 2 placed.
Yeah,
she
she
could
was
flat
good.
fly. And that's the thing that was funny.
She
was really fast early too. Exactly kind of what I was thinking about when you're thinking about Flojo. She's had 4 foals so far. So 4 siblings for Flojo that have raced, all winners. One of them won the debut. And then if you're thinking speed, what rider would you want to go to think about speed? Edwin Maldonado is
Best
riding this
HL.
horse first time out of the box. And you can actually watch the workout on May the 4th. This horse had a good start from the gate, quick, showing speed. It's just funny that the name and the dam and the workouts and the rider would all tell you that this horse is supposed to be good and quick, right?
And the last 2 workouts for Miotti. I mean,
Yeah.
usually he's 22 and 22. He works them very slow. Those are quick work. That's April 29th, that gate work, 8 to 22 for Miotti. That is really, really sharp. And then again, another gate work. So yeah, I'm with you. I have that horse as an A as well. But anyone else you want to mention?
The 5, I think, is super logical. Was a runner-up in a similar spot on the turf last time out. So very logical there. And I'm gonna probably try to get out of here. I think with 2 and 5, like the 1. We talked about Andy Mathis.
Yeah, you have to use him.
Remember when he was struggling a while back and he was not able to win? But now you look at Andy Mathis and the barn, who's been like an 8 to 10% barn with first-time starters throughout their career.
Yes, you're right.
They've won so if you look at like the last 5 years, 10 for the last 124, 8%. Always in that range where it's like capable. He's always been fantastic second time out. That's where he's always like, he would have horses up north run once. Then they
fade him first start. Yeah.
Then they come down to Omar and they'd be super live second time out. But now the past 6 months, he's won with 2 out of the last 5 first-time starters, and those wins were 13-1 and 14-1.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, Andy Mathis went from being unbettable to leave off your tickets at your own peril. And you're 100% right. You actually have the stats to back it up. I'm going on old man memory, but when I was doing the Golden Gate races for the Golden Hour, Andy Mathis was an auto toss first out. He rarely won because he, gives the horses experience and a little bit of fitness. And second time, automatic. But now look at him in Formula, 21% with a $4.58 ROI. I mean, that's phenomenal. It's a function of your stock, right? Maybe he started with the new bloodstock agent who is getting more precocious horses for him or whatever, but you can't leave him off. It's hard here because I'm going to mention 2 other horses. If you can afford to use them, great. If you can't, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. But talking about really, really strong names, Crystal McAuliffe, legendary, in a woman in space. So honor her memory, but this horse is super obvious, right? And this is another Miotti horse, turf to dirt. That's the move for him. This horse always fires. That being said, and I think Jaramillo is a huge. Not that Frezu or Maldonado are bad at all, but Jaramillo is he's locked in, right? So that's a positive jaw change for me. But my top pick in here, and I'm a little bummed that the horse is so short on the morning line, but that's number 6, very smart. I talk about older horses, especially fillies and mares. I will always give them extra credit this time of year because they're just more mature. And if you look at this horse's debut, forget about it. The only thing you need to look at is that a John Sheriff's, may he rest in peace, a John Sheriff's firster in a 12-horse field went off at 3-1. Yeah. Talk about patience. He gives them 2-3 races before they pop. So this horse has ability. There's no doubt in my mind. Urton is really good with his new shooters, good off the layoff. And after all this time, after a bad debut race, granted trouble and all that stuff, but Frezu bothers to ride back, right? Frezu probably could have ridden the 5. he waits a year and he's like, I want to ride this horse back. So Very Smart is my top pick in the race. Never in Doubt, Flojo, and Krista McAuliffe, my secondary contenders, but I think they all have shots. It's going to be an exciting race, actually. I'm looking forward to it.
For me, I'll keep an eye on Very Smart when she flips to the turf. I wonder if that's too why she got bet. But and again, this is a small field where it might not matter, right? She may be just good enough and like have a good enough pedigree to beat 4 or 5 other horses in here that show up. But when you think the 10 combined wins for her siblings, the shortest distance win of those 10 was 7.5 furlongs on the turf. It's all long turf. And maybe she's good. Maybe she's good enough to do that. But I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on her, because if she runs well at all here and then they go long on the grass next time out, boom, like that's probably where her future is.
You know what? That is a great point. And the more I look at it now, look at the owner, CRK Stable. They buy horses who route. They're long body. They have to fill into their frame. And you're right. This horse's future is probably 2 turns. And this now that you talk about it, it's like, yeah, it's probably a prep race for next time. But I still have to use the horse based on everything I said. But that is a really good point. I love CRK Stable horses. They always look beautiful. They're like stamina. So anyway, that is a really good point, and the ownership backs that up, actually. So I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
We will see what Krista McAuliffe and Flojo have to offer in this one.
So
They're probably going to be
top horses.
I like the 2. I'm going to go 2, probably the Miotti, the 2-5, and absolutely having the 1 in there some way, shape, or form. I think the 4, like, if I wouldn't be shocked if that horse showed some improvement at all, but that horse cleared, kind of got the run that you would want, got headed at the top of the lane, and didn't really battle back much. So I'm looking for the first time starters, and I think Krista McAuliffe, is the best of the ones that run. I mean, if Flojo is 7-2 or above, I think that's probably fair value in this race, and maybe a horse I'll even bet a little bit to win on there. So
nice. Okay.
That is race number 6. That one kicks off the late pick 4 sequence. We're now going to move to race number 7. This one starts the late pick 3, which is a $3 pick 3, and those pick 3s pay incredible. So if you get knocked out of any of the earlier wagers, come back and play even on the bigger denomination, because if you're just right about, your opinion in 1 or 2 of these races, they pay so much better because they're difficult to put those wagers together. In here, Frank, we have 3-year-olds and up going 1 1/8 on the turf course. These are Calbreds. It's a Calbred first level allowance, optional claiming race here. The 1, Jimmy Blue Jeans, likes to win races. We saw him put 2 races back-to-back victories together, then finished 3rd and finished a little bit of a disappointing 6th last time out. But I think he's one of the horses that you probably have to start with in here. The 8, Sabertooth, is just 1 for 10, but he's actually multiple graded stakes placed. This horse hit the board twice in graded stakes races as a maiden. It took him till his 9th start to finally put it all together. And then once he finally breaks the maiden, he goes to the bench for 13 months. So he very much needed his last race. He ran exactly like a horse who needed the race coming off the long layoff. The thing that's a little bit scary about him, though, is he has 0 early speed. He's going to be coming from way, way out of it. So he is the type of horse, Frank, who can get himself in some traffic and get kind of caught in some trouble. That's not surprising when it happens. So I think 2 of the horses that are going to take a lot of money, you sort of have opposite ends of the spectrum, where the 1, Jimmy Blue Jeans, he's pretty consistent. He's pretty solid. He's an 8-year-old, but you kind of know what you're going to get for him. Sabertooth, he's just a one-time winner, but he still may have a little bit of upside because he's got the layoff lines and he hasn't really run all that much. So those are the 2 I wanted to kind of start the conversation with. How do you see this race playing out? Are those horses on your radar? Yeah. Who do you want to use?
Jimmy Blue Jeans is just such a cool horse. Total pro, to your point, knows how to win, likes to win. Unfortunately, I think there's other speed in here that, might soften the old pro up a little bit. So I was looking for horses to come off the pace. Now, keep in mind, this is a 9 furlong race, and none of the horses have any form going this long. Yep. So one of the things that I use, and It's so great in turf races, in formulator. I format my PPs where I have the incremental splits for individual horses.
Yes.
And in turf races, you look at that final quarter, and if that horse is finishing strongly time-wise, you know that distance won't be an issue. I think I really like number 3, Stylishly Acclaimed. Carla Gaines does not usually win off a long layoff. This horse wired them down the hill, won by a length and a quarter, just absolutely demolished them at 20-1. I don't
and
think
he's not a speed horse.
No, he's not.
And no,
yes.
that's what's so strange is that you were expecting him, especially at a sprint, to be coming from way, way out of it. And then he just broke really well and they went on with it. And those fractions aren't very fast for down the hill. Like 22, 45, like that's not that fast. He sort of caught a flyer. It was a great ride by Jaramillo, right? That's exactly the kind of thing you do when you're just seeing the ball well, right? You get horses like this to show speed. But Frank, I think you and I are both hoping for the trip, much more like when he broke his maiden, right? That kind of trip where he
from
sat
the 10 hole. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I see. And look, I'm going to just toss the last race. This horse ran so good off a year-plus layoff, bounced to the moon. Like, I just pretend that race never happened.
And it doesn't really say it very much in there. So he's inside. He got one of those awful shuffles all the way back where he just kept getting back, and all of a sudden just had zero chance. Just
the rail was not his friend that day. It just
not at all.
Nope. And I love that because of that bad race. We're getting 5 on the morning line is 5-1, was 3-1 last time. So I think there's some value there. I think Sabretooth is going to run a very big race, and I think the race sets up for the horse. But my main note on this horse is what makes this horse 9-5 in here? This is, I just thought that was really short, and I would never take that price on the win end. But I do think that horse is going to run big today. And then I'll just mention one other horse. So those are my 2 A's, the 3 and the 8. But I'm really about the 3. Yeah. That's my separator horse. I have to mention the 5 Speed of Elon because that horse has come up several times on the show, and we've liked the horse several times because he has shown a nice little late kick. I don't know if he's fast enough at this point in his career to beat some of the others, but I expect that horse to run really, really well. Again, I talk about the come home times. I think the blinkers on, will definitely help this horse. And I don't think distance will be an issue, but that's more of a secondary contender for me. But I really like Stylishly Acclaimed. But there are other horses in here who have a shot, which is why I didn't think Sabretooth deserved to be 9-5.
Stylishly Acclaimed is my top selection along with you, Frank.
Oh, nice.
And I respect Jimmy Blue Jeans, and I do agree with you that I think most versions of this race, there's probably a pretty fair amount of speed because you'll have Jimmy Blue Jeans there. You'll have Zagreus showing speed. You'll have Creative showing speed. Yeah. I think at least the 3 of them. What I do sometimes too in like multis, if you're looking and this is a race where you're already going to be using a few different horses. I kind of think about, versions of the race and how it sets up. Sometimes the fastest horse is the one you want when there's a couple other fast horses, because those horses start chasing and the pace battle doesn't really ever happen, but the other horses just get outrun. I'm going to throw the 4 Zagreus in on a couple tickets because this horse is quick. Like last time out, put a line right through it. Never got a shot, step slow, just never got involved. Look at this horse's form in all of the races before that April 4th race. He was always on the lead. Yeah. Look at the race in September 2025. He went 21.71 going a mile on the front end. And he actually ran really well that day. He had like 3 or 4 races in a row that were not that bad. And I think he now is going to go 3rd start off the bench. People are going to immediately dismiss him because his figures are a little bit light when you compare them to the rest of this group. He may have a length or 2 on this field. And I would love to have him turning for home on a ticket if he's out front with Edmund Maldonado aboard. So he's like my 3rd or 4th horse in the race, but man, I can see a version of this race where he's the one that's the fastest. He gets loose. Everybody else is kind of scrubbing in here. So I want to at least have him in the mix some way, shape, or form in that 3 or 4 spots. But I am with you. 3 and the 8 were my 2. I did not think the 8 should be that short. Right. I do still think the horse is going to run well.
Yeah.
Jimmy Blue Jeans also makes a lot of sense. Anyone else?
I will say this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I said you mentioned Speed of Elon, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think Speed of Elon is probably more of a win bet. I don't necessarily need the horse on my pick 5 ticket because I really do like Stylishly Acclaimed. But this is for all the people out there. I did not consider Zagreus. I wasn't so concerned about the speed figures. I was more concerned about race shape. I thought maybe that horse and Jimmy Blue Jeans and maybe somebody else might duke it out. But I'm telling everyone out there, Gino is the giant slayer. Every show he gives out a horse at a big price that pops. You had the one yesterday that was 12-1 and won. So I'm just saying that, and it's usually a horse that I haven't really considered. So I will now consider Zagreus. Thanks to you.
One to maybe toss into some of those late pick 3s if you have tickets formulated different for your pick 4s and your pick 5s and maybe the pick 3. This is also the Sunset 6, those last 3 races from Santa Anita and the last 3 from Gulfstream. And then we can move to the late double, Frank, and you talk about the late double quite often. This one will start in race number 8 on Saturday, going a mile on the dirt with optional 50 first level allowance runners, 3-year-olds and up, which have never won no more than one. 4 of these horses raced on March the 8th. The second place finisher was Magnify. You have the Cowboy Mike, you have Berlin Wall, and you have Voldemort. They were all in that race. So if you want to take something out of this small field, they are, all logical horses coming back you can look at. Magnify is the even money favorite on the morning line in this race. He's a horse who's finished second in back-to-back races. I mean, in 4 straight races, he hasn't really run badly in any of them. He feels like a horse that's kind of tough to trust, though, because of those layoff lines in the middle and then the runner-up efforts. So while I think in this field of 6, he's the most likely winner, his lone win basically came on the lead. His last 2 were fine, but it might be a little challenging in here with Cowboy Mike wanting to go forward. Voldemort, he's the real wild card in the race, right? Because I don't know what to do with him, Frank. Yeah. He was so bad last time out.
The tote will tell on that horse, but unfortunately it'd be too late for the pick 5. But I mean, we got to watch and see if that horse takes Baffert money, the horse is live. But
his works were like okay.
Yeah, I'm not.
There was nothing. They had him acting as a target in one of the workouts for Imagination. Then the last time he was working with another mate, he was inside. He was on even terms. He's gotten bet, and if he runs something like his 2-back race where he's second behind Clooney, it's a really good effort. That probably wins this race or puts him very close to winning this race. But he's going to be inside.
Yeah.
And right next door is Coach Cronin. I think this is probably a little tougher than what Coach Cronin's been facing. I think he's kind of been picking on horses that are not as sharp, and he's been in good form. So I do wonder, just looking at the fractions he got last time, Frank, where he went 24, 48, and 1, just easy, kind of loping along on the lead. Is that going to be the trip he gets in here? And he's not really a horse with a lot of experience going long. So, I kind of talked out some of the contenders in here. How do you want to stack them up in this race?
Yeah, I mean, if Magnify doesn't win this race, I don't think he'll ever win because this race sets up perfect for him. He can stalk, he can track, he's outside, he can get a nice clear trip. Voldemort has speed. It's a Baffert horse. Gotta go. Baffert's horses, their speed is their best asset. Horse through the rail. Gotta go. Coach Cronin's going to chase. I agree with you. While Coach Cronin is in good form, those Calbred N1Xs are not on a level of this. I thought Berlin Wall had ability in the Calbred ranks and does actually. I think this is a cool horse, but if you look at the last 2 races at this level and distance, he's exposed against open company. And Magnify has beat him pretty soundly on the square. Cowboy Mike, I know the blinkers are off, but this horse, this horse likes to be up or on the pace. Yakteen's got 2 in here, right? So I think this one is going to help set it up for Magnify.
Yep.
But there is a world in which this one could just, fire big off the freshening and win. But that's not something I want to bet. Runaway Charlie, blinkers on, maybe to shake things up, kind of a desperation move, maybe 16-1 last time against Magnify in Berlin Wall. I mean, I just don't see how Magnify loses this race unless one of the others freaks. But even money that does not excite me at all. But look, third race of the form cycle. I agree with you. Those early layoff lines are very disconcerting. But the horse was with Baffert. Yakteen got the horse. The horse won. Something went off. But I think Yakteen's got this horse where he wants the horse to be. And those 2 races, they're pretty good. They're pretty good races. 95 buyer, that's solid. And I just think it's the time. Third race of the form cycle, perfect setup, perfect trip into the winner's circle, single.
Yeah, when I'm going through this race and I'm kind of doing the process of elimination thing that you were sort of doing too, right? Like I had a really tough time getting to Runaway Charlie, who's been defeated by Magnify, Berlin Wall, and Voldemort all crushed recently. Cowboy Mike, he's 0 for the last 7. And in that stretch, the closest was 4th beaten 4. Like this is the Jaramillo test, right?
Yeah.
Like he's jumping on this horse. If he can pick up a horse like this, who's not in great form and get him into the winner's circle, that's when someone is really able to make the difference on a horse, right? We taled about
I'm going to use that horse in my doubles, but
maybe
not in the pick 5 though. But I'm that horse is the most interesting to me of all the other horses. And to your point, maybe Jaramillo can get this horse to just sit right off Voldemort and Coach Cronin and just luck into the best trip with the blinkers off.
The 2 Coach Cronin, I'll let him beat me if he's a shortish price because I think that this is tougher than what he's been facing.
Yep.
Voldemort, I go back and forth on, but I didn't love the recent workouts as well. So, I like a couple of times they were using him as a target. I caught by accident a work of Berlin Walls. Yeah. And it's like, this horse in the mornings is really good. And he's already run 10 times, right? So it's not as if like you're saying something new. Right. I think he's just in really good form right now. And after I eliminated the rest of the field, and I agree with you that Magnify's the horse to beat. So Magnify's on the ticket already for me, but I don't trust Magnify enough to only use Magnify. I needed one other horse along with Magnify here. And I just ended up getting to Berlin Wall because I think if you toss the Turf and you toss the Malibu, the race on March the 8th that the 4 horses were all in, there was a weird like an incident where there was a loose horse. And a couple of the horses just don't fire sometimes when that happens, when like there's a spill, when one of the horses next to you drops. The race was just weirdly run overall. I thought his last effort was okay. And what I really hope in this situation, Frank, is that they just go take him way back 5 or 6 lengths and then make one late run. I think some of the times they tried to get him to like move too early, to be sitting a little bit too close. I think just grab a hold of him, let him sit back, let him make one late run, magnifies the horse to bet. I'm going to include Berlin Wall just in case because I don't trust Magnify all that much. And the rest of this field, I trust Berlin Wall the most, I think, of the other ones. And that's kind of how
has ability. No doubt about it. That horse has ability. I could see that horse running in some Calbred stakes races at Del Mar. Yeah. He's also versatile, right? He can win at 6.5. He can route. If you can make excuses and forgive his 2 races against Magnify and Open Company, this horse definitely has the ability. We'll see if he's good enough to beat Magnify, but I would not be surprised at all if the horse won. I've always thought this horse had talent.
Kind of a similar situation what we were talking a little bit about earlier with the horse yesterday, right? Where it's like, I am already going to concede that Magnify is the horse to beat. And for anyone that wants to single Magnify, I would not talk you off doing that. Me personally, I get a little concerned just with the multiple runner-up efforts and the time off and how it shapes up. And as I went through the rest of this field, the only one that I was like okay enough with was Berlin Wall. So yeah, I kind of saw the same thing where it's like, if Magnify's not in this race and the other 5 are in here, I think Berlin Wall is a major player of those other 5, that grouping. So I'll play it like that with those 2, with the 3 and the 6. And you're probably going to be a lot on the 6, and you said maybe a little sprinkle on the 4.
Yeah, probably more for like, the double. And I will look at the probables, and I have to think that Berlin Wall will be good value. So I could use that in my other bets. But as far as the pick 5 goes, I'm going to single Magnify. But just real quick, because you alluded to a strategy that you did yesterday that actually paid off very, very well today. And it was a little enlightening for me because I never really looked at the race the way you were describing it. Of course, I'm a contrarian. My first instinct is to always try and beat the favorite. But when I'm doing that, I'm kind of comparing the other horses. Can this horse beat the favorite? And there was a horse today who was overwhelming favorite. Never been on turf before, though. I mean, it was a class of the field, but it never. So your point was like, if you want to single that horse, fine, single him. But if you want to take him out of the race, pretend he's not even in the race. And of the remaining contenders, who is the most likely winner? And that's I got to plug in my battery.
Oh, there you go.
It came undone. Sorry.
You were getting the alert that it's getting ready to go.
I did. Yeah. I don't want to get cut off here. Okay, I'm good. But anyway, and this is a similar situation. Like you said, if you want to single Magnify, good for you. But if not, look at the race within the race. Pretend Magnify is not it. So I just thought that was a really cool point, and I'm glad you brought it up again, because micro strategy handicapping is great, but these general macro approaches are what kind of separates you from a lot of the other handicappers. So,
yep. And these types of shows are great for 2 reasons, right? Because sometimes, Frank, you're going to point out a specific horse that I didn't look at, and I'm going to take a second look at that horse and end up adding them onto my tickets. But then other times, someone that you're sitting next to or that you're listening to might mention an angle like that, right, that now you can then use in many other situations. So it's not only just about like getting the picks, which a lot of people like, and I get it, right? Sometimes you just want to fast forward to the picks or who people like, but more so, oh, wow, I hear the same thing when I'm sitting next to so many of you or other sharp people at Daily Racing Forum. And I love when I hear somebody thinking about the game a little bit differently than I am, because it's like, oh, wow, that's just a different perspective. And I'm not even thinking in that perspective. So now this opens up a whole new floodgate for me, a whole new rabbit hole. So hopefully we're able to give you some winners of the races and maybe even some big picture thoughts along the way as we get ready to close it out. It is a graded stakes race to close out the Saturday card. It's the Grade 3 Senorita. I wanted to mention that with the Preakness coming up next week, that's a big week for the tournament space over at ExpressBet. There is the Preakness Challenge that happens next week on Saturday. So you can actually qualify all throughout the week in these $100 Laurel Park feeders to try to get your spot in that Preakness Challenge, Frank. And in that, you can win NHC seats, BCBC seats, I think Pegasus World Cup Betting Challenge seats, like the biggest tournaments of the year you can get qualified for in that tournament next week. And it's only $100. Sometimes, forking up a $1,500 entry fee or a $6,000 entry fee, a lot of the average players, that's too much. That's a lot of your bankroll. But most people can play a $40 feeder or a $100 feeder and win their way in.
Absolutely. I play them often, and they're great. For a little bit of investment, you could end up qualifying for a tournament like a $1,500 buy-in, and maybe end up walking away with $40,000. So it's absolutely phenomenal. And I think ExpressBet does a really, really good job with those feeders and the qualifiers. And then having like different levels for players, right? So you have the $1,500 one, but some of the big ones are $5,000. And then you have the $40 one. So there's something for everyone. If you're playing already, you want to maximize your picks. For $40, you could, if you have a good day and you win, next thing you know, you got $1,500 in your account, and you're playing for $40,000. So,
and they're going to be introducing a new format coming up in the next few weeks that's called like an anything goes, where they're going to be having some of the live money tournaments where you can actually play like it's called an anything goes challenge, and you're going to be able to play win, play, show, exacta, try, super, doubles, pick threes, pick fours, pick fives, and pick sixes, all in the contest. So they're going to test.
Awesome.
They're going to test that out and see how it works. So, like for someone like me, Frank, I don't like the format as much of the live money tournaments as I do of like the NHC format, because if I'm having a good day, $2 win place, I feel like I can beat anybody. If I get a 20-1 and a 15-1, like, and that can all happen on a day, I'm not the type of bettor who goes and bets $100 and $1,000 exactas and tries. I'm not comfortable doing that on my own. So in a contest format, I don't feel as comfortable doing that. But I could bust out a couple pick fives with big prices. You know what I mean? Like in the middle of something like that. So that is enticing for maybe people like me who don't like that format as much, which is funny because I know a lot of the bigger players like the live format much better than the mythical $2 win place format. It's just kind of what you think your strength is.
You have to be fearless with your bankroll to win those things. And you need to play at your comfort level. So you build up your bankroll to 5,000 and somebody else has the same bankroll. That person's going to push all in. He's either going to win or finish with zero. Are you willing to do that? And a lot of players aren't. And it really all depends on the tournament. So I really think that's phenomenal because, pick threes, pick five. Like I want to know more about this. I think it's great because it allows the player to play to their strengths, and you're not hamstrung. Look, there's nothing wrong with win, play, show, exacta tries, and doubles. Like you can do a lot of damage with that wagering format. But supers, like I'm not a super player, but if you're a good super player, you could absolutely crush it. So I think that is really, really cool. If you blast that out, please tag me on X because I want to tell everybody because that's like right up my alley. So that's
Sunday,
really cool.
May the 24th at ExpressBet, the $500 Santa Anita Anything Goes Challenge. Check that out. They're estimating 25,000 in the prize pool, and if we get a good response, there may be more and more of those. Okay, Frank, let's close this thing out. The grade 3 Senorita will go down the hill for these 3-year-old fillies. The 5 light one up is the horse to beat, just coming off of her win in the Sweet Life, going down the hill. And then she went over to Keeneland, and she did not run poorly when she finished 4th in the Limestone. And the 3rd place finisher, Cy Fair, who was the Breeders' Cup juvenile turf sprint winner, actually just came back and won last week at Churchill Downs in her 2nd start back of the year. So that was a strong group that light one up exits. So I can understand why anyone will go in that direction. I will mention a horse or two who are interesting to me in here. If you are a replay watcher, I imagine the 6 is going to get bet a little bit, just like off that replay.
It was favored last time too.
Right, she was favored last time, and this horse had a bad stumble. It's what it says in the comment line. She was 15 lengths off early on, and in a race where the top 3 finishers were 2, 3, 1 early. There was no passing in that race. It was almost a merry-go-round race. And this gal really got going late. And if you kept the video rolling past the wire a little bit, all of a sudden you see a blur on the gallop out, and it's her. And she comes like out of nowhere flashing by. So the fact that she had that legitimate trouble, you pointed out she got bet last time, and Hernandez keeps the faith and he's in the mix. So if you like her, you're not going to get 10-1. She's probably more like a 5-1 shot in here. And if you're something in that range, that's still probably fair. So she's one that I have to have in the mix along with the 5 light one up. How about for you? Who do you want to have in this closing leg?
Yeah, the six was absolutely my, wise guy pick. I agree with you. This horse will not be 10-1 in the win pool, but that's beneficial to us when the morning line is high. That's good for the pick 5. Because a lot of people throw in some horses based on short prices on the morning line. So I love that. Look, this is Juddmonte. We don't see too many Juddmonte horses out here, and they're entrusting quality horse flesh with Michael McCarthy, who I think is one of the best trainers. I talk about how I use Formulator. I put in notes, and every week Tom Quigley and I discuss what happened. And this horse is a Brad-free horse to watch. Went to her nose at the start, finished well, would have won with a clean start. And I think he's right, because the way this horse ran, based on the slow pace that they had, 13 lengths back at one point in a sprint race. So yeah, I really, really like that horse. The question is, that was an N1X. This is stakes quality. No doubt Light One Up. I mean, she's really, really nice. If this were a month ago, I would be singling this horse, because O'Neill couldn't win. He couldn't lose a race.
You're making a great point.
He's 2 for 42 now.
Yep,
so
it cycles. It cycles back, right? How short do you want to take? Or is that you at least think twice about singling a horse like this, right? On the back end, when the barn is a little, like, absolutely things that you want to take into account. So we've talked 5, we've talked 6. Who else, Frank, is on the radar in this last race?
I'll throw a sneaky one out, and for people who've listened to me before, this probably won't come as any surprise. I like tactical route speed on the outside down the hill. Number 10, yours sincerely, at 20-1. This horse is versatile, has good route races, but her N1X win came sprinting. So it's coming off of freshening. She's got a great post. She has solid stakes form from last year. I've seen way worse 20-1 shots. Let's put it like that. A lot of these horses competed against each other in a recent N1X. This one had already cleared the condition, 2 back. It did it pretty well. So I think that's the sneaky one.
She's a little better, Frank, than her speed figures look too, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And it's another situation where, like, Light One Up, you quick glance at Light One Up, and not a lot of the other horses in the field look comparable just based on the speed figures. But then you have to do the same thing where, okay, Light One Up is absolutely the horse to beat. If Light One Up comes in here, runs her best race, she's going to win this race.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the field is all pretty evenly matched based on the numbers they've been running, right? Almost nobody else in there is even getting buyers into the 80s. They're all really in, like, the high 60s, low 70s. So it's sort of like a tale of two different races again, where you've got the one horse who kind of looks like that standout on the speed figures. But if you take Light One Up out, you're sincerely absolutely is right in the mix with a lot of the rest of this group. And I visually, if you've watched her, she was a horse when she first came to the US that was a stone cold closer. That first race, she was dead last on the inside at the top of the lane. She was still 9th, 5 lengths back. And she absolutely inhaled the field.
Yeah, that's the note, inhaled field.
Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to keep an eye on this horse moving forward. And her next couple races, it's not like they were bad, but what I really noticed in her last, like, 3 races was that she started getting in the race much more early. She could sit more mid-pack. She didn't have to be dead last. Even the 2 starts back race sprinting, she sat 4th. That race that she won because she was able to be placed earlier in the race with a little versatility there. So she's a really fun long shot. Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you start going through the field. I don't know how many of these horses want to be right on the lead. I think a lot of them want to be kind of sitting a little bit behind. Mow them down, wants to sit, have a target, and the blinkers are coming off. Surfing USA won't be on the lead. I don't think Rivera is going to be on the lead in here. Light One Up has actually preferred sitting a little bit. Major J had to get out of the starting gate. Will Happen kind of sitting a little bit. Dreaming of Alleys, more of a closer and cutting back in distance. And then we get to a horse who I know is going to be on the lead and wants to go. Still unwritten. So do we some way get this horse into a pick 4 or a pick 5 or a double, something where earlier you're pressing your strong opinions? Because this is a horse who, turning for home, might have a length or 2 on the field, and all of a sudden, everybody else is a few lengths behind and scrubbing. So I had the 6 as my fun bet, the 5 is the horse to beat, and then I'm going to throw in the 9 as kind of a fun long shot, along with the 10 who you mentioned. Those were literally the 2 fun prices, totally opposite ends. One might be mid-pack closing, the other could be right on the lead.
Yeah, third race of the form cycle for the 9, so steadily improving. And the horses that passed him last time, her, might not give her credit. And she might be going easy. She was a length clear, and they're like, oh, we passed her easy. It's the same thing's going to happen. No, this is the third race of the form cycle. She's more fit. She has that downhill race. And maybe they don't rate her enough where they let her get away and they say, oh, she's going to get tired and she steals the race. It's eminently possible. I wanted to ask you because I don't really know what to make of the one. The Bella Lyra, the German bred. I love Mark Latt. He does well with these imports, but she ran second twice against the boys, but the rail for a foreign horse, I don't know what to do.
That's what is concerning me a little bit. Her races are fine. They weren't very flashy. She's Group 3 place, going 6 furlongs. I just had to take a wait and see approach from her.
Okay.
In a race where I don't know if they're going to be flying early on, what kind of trip is she going to get? Right? Is it going to set up all that well for her? So yeah, I ended up kind of hemming and hawing, and she was like in the 4th and 5th spots for me. So I thought the long shots towards the outside were a little more fun. And as we finish up, you were kind of hitting on this too. I always, if it's like the downhill turf course, if it's Charlestown or Delta Downs, which are like bullring style tracks, so they're a little bit different, they're a little unique. If it's ever even at like Kentucky Downs, which that entire track is a little bit unique, I always give horses 2 times over something before I really make my decision if they'd like it or not. And a lot of times then that second start or the second time doing it, they can be even better. I would not be shocked to see Still Unwritten improve a little bit second time down the hill. It's a little tricky. It's a little unique. Be able to ration that horse's speed a little bit better coming around the turn. So Frank, we had a fun late Pick 5 preview show. Give everybody a plug out there. Where can we find more from you coming up this weekend? And where do we follow along with the Sure Shot Scatoni and the Double Trouble?
Yeah, my written analysis, The Matrix, is on the Santa Anita website, where I horse by horse analyze the races in the $3 all turf and the $3 late pick 3. And then we complement that with a live wagering show to play those bets. And that is, if you go to doubletroublelive.com, you can subscribe. We're going to do a show tomorrow starting at 2:40, covering, it'll actually be the Pick 5 sequence because the first leg of the Pick 5 is also the first leg of the all turf. So from the all turf all the way to the pay leg, we'll be firing away. We put, we gamble together. We have fun together. So if anyone's there at home and you don't want to bet alone, come bet with us.
Come and hang out with them tomorrow. Chappie, hope Chappie feeling a little bit better. Skippy and Giorgio will be back with us again next week. And great job, Giorgio, on the handicapping and wagering on Friday. So for Frank, I'm Gino. A big thank you again to everyone for hanging out. Make sure to get involved tomorrow in the late Pick 5, the late Pick 4, the $3 Pick 3, the late Daily Double. Get your win wagers in. Coast to Coast, Sunset 6. Don't forget about all of those. Plenty of things. And next weekend will be the Preakness. So have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you again next Friday.